Hello, and welcome to the Theology Gaming Podcast, or Diablocast as we're going to call it. My name is Zachary Oliver, the owner and proprietor of the Theology Gaming blog, and with me today are our three special guests.
I'm M. Joshua Caller.
And...
That's your cue to go, Bryan.
Yeah, Bryan.
Oh, I'm special. I mean, Bryan.
And I am the only one not playing Diablo 3, but I'm here. This is Ted Loring.
No, you've broken the illusion, Ted. Why?
No. Ted is our
I-
official spirit animal. He's the one who has braved Diablo, and he has experience with Diablo, so we don't have to really worry about him. He is here. He's. I'm not sure whether a spirit animal is more accurate, or just say he's our Mr. Miyagi.
I am Mr. Miyagi.
Why do we always end up by myself in this place?
Analog joystick right.
Goodness.
Analog joystick left.
Go back. Well, Ted actually is one of the more accomplished of us because he's actually killed Diablo before. Like me.
You did it as well, but I did it a year ago. I don't remember anything.
No.
Yeah, I don't get the impression that actually doing things in Diablo is memorable in that of themselves.
Well, unless you pump up the difficulty to all kinds of levels, but that's just me. Go in the cave.
Okay, we're going into the cave.
Okay. All right, so what are we going to talk about today?
Well, the thing that I thought would be really, really good to talk about was, since we're playing Diablo, is the subject of eternal destinations. And I know that, of course, we talked about in the last Diablo cast that the eschatology and the spiritual view of heaven and hell and all those things is much more, as Zach said, was Mantiquean as opposed to Christian. But really got me thinking about, like, what is a good spiritual perspective of what happens with heaven and hell? What is our kind of like approach to that from a healthy Christian perspective, considering the popular Christian perspective, of course, is just to say, yeah, you just go to heaven when you die, and that's really what's important about being a Christian or something. Or at least that's what my 10-year-old just saved brain thought when I was a kid. And I know that a lot of people still kind of just stay there. It's like, so yeah, that's what being a Christian is about. Jesus died so that you can go to heaven when you die.
Yeah, which is super weird to me now. I mean, I was raised in a tradition that also taught the same thing.
Yeah, and that's just so far from where I'm at myself even right now too. But I figured that would be a good segue to ask the main question: what do you guys believe happens when you die?
What is heaven? When we're talking about it, what are we talking about?
Yeah. Definitions.
Yeah.
Very
So,
much like Aristotle. Let's define it.
So
Well-
who's going to go first?
Well, you're not going to find it through empirical research, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I just came back from the lab, and I've discovered heaven in a test tube. So that's where we're all going.
Yeah.
So what kind of beverage is it?
Well, it actually has sort of a fruity lemon lime flavor. So it was quite surprising.
Oh, you know what, Ted? That is not a test tube. That is mellow yellow.
Oh, I see. I was wondering why heaven was carbonated.
I mean, of course, whenever we start talking about heaven and any of this subject, the first thing that we want to go to is what does the Bible say about it?
Right.
Because obviously the word heaven is used many, many, many times in the Bible, but the question is, what does the Bible even really say about it? Because and of course we really want to go to what did Jesus say even more specifically? Because obviously Jesus is the expert on the subject. So what does he actually say? If I were to say, what does Jesus say about heaven, Ted? What would you say?
Well, if you read, I think Matthew is one that talks a lot about where Jesus is talking about what his kingdom is like. He refers to heaven as being his kingdom, and that's
Or at
why
least he uses the word the kingdom of heaven.
the kingdom of heaven. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah,
Thanks
yeah.
for being more specific. The Beatitudes, for example, talk about that, like what his kingdom is like or what the kingdom of heaven is like, and it sounds a lot like it's upside down from everything that we believe and hold dear about this kingdom or this world
like,
that
blessed
we're in.
are those who mourn, blessed are those who are hungry and thirst for justice. as in those who don't have it. It's like really weird things because that's not typically what we would think of when we think of heaven when we die. Yay, morning. Um, so apparently, I'd say that apparently, especially from my perception of it, is that Jesus isn't really talking about heaven when you die as much as his heavenly reality in the here and now.
Yeah, there's actually more than one dimension, so to speak, to what you might describe as heaven. If you know Jesus and you are in communication and relationship with God, you could say on some levels that you are experiencing heaven.
Yeah, and of course
Even
that's
here.
how Jesus starts in the book of Mark. It says that he starts proclaiming this gospel: the kingdom of God is now at hand. At hand, repent and believe.
Hmm.
And that's actually, I think that in Mark it's the kingdom of God is what he calls it. So it's a little bit different in each one of the books of the Gospels.
And the book of John, he describes it as his house, his father's house, or a place, as a place. It's John 14, I think. Is actually a real comfort when you're going through grieving or mourning.
Yeah, yeah,
When it says, my father's house, there's many rooms, and if it wasn't so, I wouldn't have told you. And I'm going there to prepare a place for you. If I go to prepare a place for you, I'll come back and take you to be with me, so that you can be where I am. That's
exactly.
pretty cool.
Yeah. So those are the kind of the popular things that people go to when it comes to the scriptures. But then you have some really really weird, strange texts that just throw you for a loop, like the what some people call the parable of the rich man and Lazarus,
Yeah.
where
I
yeah,
Uh-huh.
know people who take that directly as a theological construct of how reality actually works. So that there's really a heaven and a hell that are next to each other. Or that's before Jesus died and rose again. Depends on what you're talking about.
yeah,
Right.
and
There's
it's
sort of a Hebrew concept of death
Yeah.
and heaven and
Sheol.
hell. It's a little different from the Christian concept.
I was at one of my best friend's dad's funerals, and his pastor was preaching about Abraham's bosom as an actual place, and I was very confused.
A question, where are you guys? I
Yeah, that's
lost
actually
I lost you at some point.
yeah. At some point, I think you guys are straight up north. I see a person. Oh, there's Bryan. He is randomly taking on a giant Savage the Beast.
Wait, you guys just kept going north?
I think
Yeah.
Bryan is kind of this rogue guy that just goes off on his own.
Wait,
Everybody's always saying, "Where's Bryan? Where's Bryan?"
weren't you supposed to go in one of the caves?
I don't know. What are we supposed to do?
It says search for the Cosmer. Oh, I guess. Well, you could have went in some of the crypts. They have loot in there.
This is a level of teamwork that is unprecedented.
This we are an
Stop
amazing
going
team
there.
we've come to find. And by amazing, I mean not
Awful.
so amazing. Yeah.
What the heck? Brian is always charging ahead. That's always the problem. See, I'm methodical and I go all the way around an area and I just loot everything.
I think a lot of that has to do with what classes we've chosen, because Brian's obviously chosen the half naked, I'm going to run into the middle of battle and beat dudes up class.
No, the monk is super effective at being a tank, so it's actually not a bad pairing.
So we have a witch doctor, female. We have a monk.
That's me.
Okay, and
That's
Zachary's the
Bryan.
monk.
I'm
Oh,
a wizard.
Oh, you're a wizard. And Bryan, you're a short-skirted monk.
Short-skirted monk,
he
bald
looks okay.
also. Kind of naked. I feel good.
Well, I don't know if your legs are shaved or not, but I'm sure they look great.
He feels the breeze.
Yeah, it's a bit breezy.
He's wearing a kilt.
There's a line from one of the movies I hate most. It blows about like a windsock.
Wow.
Bob Roy,
Wow.
what is that? I don't know what that is.
Okay. I'm
What
not
movie
sure.
is that?
Cut that out or not.
What?
Oh.
Huh?
What
I
is the
leveled
movie?
The Tailor of Panama. I hate that movie with a passion. If you
Never
watch
seen
it, you will also know why.
Sounds.
I don't
sounds
want to know
about
about windsocks.
right. Yeah, me either.
It's
I
like
assumed you were talking about the airport.
no, it's like Pierce Brosnan is like a bank robber or something, and he's like the evil James Bond. It's super weird.
Isn't that the Thomas Crown affair?
No, Thomas Crown Fair, he's just kind of like a suave, bored businessman who steals paintings for a hobby.
Oh.
But in this movie, he's actively a bad person.
Pierce Brosnan
What?
will always be the bad guy in Mrs. Doubtfire to me.
Oh, yeah, he is. Yeah, Pierce Brosnan.
Trying to steal Sally Field.
So what does Pierce Brosnan have to do with the afterlife?
Yeah, no, that's actually a really good segue.
Or
Whoa.
not a good segue at all, but I appreciate the compliment.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Wait, why are there so many enemies on the screen right
I
now?
don't even
I don't
understand why
Where
there's so
are they
many enemies.
coming
But-
from?
So that brings up and brings us back to the question. So what do you guys? So what do you, Zachary? What is your expectation of what's going to happen when you die?
Okay, so I grew up in Baptist circles, evangelical specifically, so I was taught that there's like a pre-tribulation rapture and everybody gets taken up, and that there's a literal heaven and hell that people get sent to based on whether or not they accepted Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior. So I believe in the basic concept, but I'm not so sure about the end time stuff.
Yeah.
But the
that makes a lot of
mechanics
sense.
of it are a bit strange to me.
Yeah. I mean, and I came from kind of a very similar perspective, or at least that was my introduction to the end of all things and my expectations. But it still came back to that core concept that if when I die, the real show, the real main event is that I'm going to sit as a disembodied spirit in heaven and watch all of my family members and children and grandchildren and my grandchildren's children do life while I just kind of sit there in heaven.
Yeah, or
feeling-
soul sleep. I don't know which one.
Right, and that's a little bit more where I've leaned since then. I hate the term soul sleep because that creates a weird dichotomy and preoccupation in your brain of like,
Oh, Ted,
Wait.
do you know what soul sleep is? Or Bryan, either one?
No, go for it.
I mean, I could take a guess, and you can tell me if we're talking about the same thing. But if you're talking about, like, say, for example, my wife that had passed away, the second coming of Christ has not happened yet on this Earth's timeline, so that she could be in some state of soul sleep, awaiting that moment.
Yes, you are quite
Okay.
correct.
That sounds like Limbo.
it does sound like limbo, and that's the problem that I have with it, the understanding and the expectation of it. But my attitude, my approach towards it is very much along the lines of, because everything that I find in the scriptures that Jesus talks about is about the bridegroom and the bride getting together, and the extreme anticipation of the reconciliation of all things, and the beauty of the resurrection of all of humanity, and God just bringing everything back together and setting everything right, and just
Whoa.
bringing justice where there's been injustice. And if that's the preoccupation, then why does everyone talk about this supposed limbo-ish form of heaven where you're just waiting for?
Well, I think what we're trying to do as human beings, we're trying to wrap our concept of time around an eternal concept, which is heaven. So
Yeah.
we're trying to make heaven and death fit into our timeline of
Oh,
when
Josh has died.
Christ comes again.
Yeah, this is
Josh?
the second time I've died.
Josh
today.
has literally died.
Josh, you okay?
I'm actually just a disembodied. Oh, I resurrected. I was disembodied spirit for a little bit, but I am back now. Oh, sheesh! We got all these crazy mean guys coming after us. It's
Yeah.
pretty rough.
The random elites are pretty tough in this game. They're actually tougher than all the bosses combined.
Huh? So that's what we're doing now. Is we're beating random elites. We're for those of you guys who can't see what's going on right now. We're trying to make these giant, beastly horned mammoths. This one, in this case, is Gruel, Torturer of Souls. Trying to make him explode and just turn into meat. And there we go. There's the meat.
Yay, meat.
I got a heater shield.
Don't equip the shield.
The shield it heats me up.
Nice.
What's a heater shield? What is that? So there's an air conditioned shield in this game, or
Cooler shield,
Yeah.
heater shield.
I don't think they're drying.
Depends what the options are for the
Yeah,
shield.
it's
When-
like
when
the
you go
Home
shield
Depot
buying,
of demon home
Or-
decoration.
you could buy it from a used shield lot, where a used shield salesman is saying, "Hey, this one's got a great heater, but try out this model.
Free Master
Ain't
Sword
she a
with every
beauty?
purchase.
What's it gonna take for me to have you take this shield home today?"
Is that a living tree? Okay, it is.
Yeah, that is a tree that I guess that's kind of like a tree ant. No, it's a wood wraith. So yeah. So anyway, Ted, what were you saying about what happens or what our approach is? Just the difficulty of trying to articulate.
Yeah, I think we're trying to articulate something that is maybe not able to be articulated. I don't know how it all works. I know
Yeah.
that when Christ was hanging on the cross, talking to the thief that said, "Remember me," he said to him, "This day you'll be with me in paradise."
And,
So
and there is
there's,
a little bit of dispute of whether or not he says, "I assure you to this day," or if he's saying, "I assure you this day." You know what I mean? Like if you put a comma in there, you can completely change like what's actually the preoccupation of what he's saying.
yeah, if you're doing that in English, you could say that, yeah.
Yeah,
I,
that's true.
I, I mean, it's pretty easy. You could look at that in the original language and probably get a good understanding of that. I'll
Yeah,
look at that.
that's valid. And of course the other argument against the whole concept of what they call soul sleep or just as I would put the focus of it is once you die you enter into kind of the eternal reality of just as if when you die the immediate next spiritual reality is the reconciliation of all creation and that's just how I look at what Paul says when he says um, to be absent from the body is to be present with Christ. Because
Yeah.
that's of course the core scripture in question when you start talking about
Well, Bryan,
again
hello?
soul
Bryan.
sleep.
Yeah, go.
Yeah,
Come in, Bryan.
I have some personal investment in this just because I've been
Yeah.
through it with somebody else, and
Yeah, and
what's
that's
more,
really what we're talking about too, is
right.
and that's something that we need to be sensitive to, is that when
What's
we're
more of
talking
a
about
comfort to
destination.
somebody to say that Shannon is with Jesus right now and experiencing his reality, or that Shannon is in a soul sleep waiting to experience his reality?
Yeah.
Exactly,
You know?
exactly.
Oh, I'm glad
Also-
she's sleeping well.
Also, it seems like an overly convoluted way to explain something that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. So, I just trust. I mean, that's what faith is, of course, is trust. I was actually with her when, she left this world, and I knew that she was no longer here. I know that, we're just a shell, basically. We're a tent, as Paul described us. It's a temporary thing, and she went into the reality, the real reality, so to
Yeah,
speak.
that's a really good way of putting it.
Yeah.
Is going into the real reality, and that's actually and that's what makes it so hard to really effectively parse the subject and why the subject we have such a strong preoccupation with heaven when you die is because our family members are not, those who've passed away aren't with us, and it's not easy to wrap your mind around that or to know how to approach that
Oh, goodness.
at death.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have certainly been influenced probably by Lewis in some of the ways he wrote about heaven, and described this world that we're in as sort of the shadowlands, and as heaven being the place where this is just a shadow of, and the real thing is to come. I really like that. If you've ever read The Last Battle, the
Yeah, the last battle
conclusion
also was pretty good.
of the Narniad, I learned that word recently, that scholars call the Chronicles of Narnia the Narniad. Um,
That
That's
just
what they
sounds,
call it, man.
That is a
that-
weird name.
if you want to sound like
Yeah.
a big dork, use that term.
Is that what I just did?
Yeah,
All
like
right.
Homeric, that kind of thing.
Well, I'm actually taking a course on Lewis and Tolkien right now, so
Cool.
I might be over quoting them or referring to them a lot. But I love how at the end of the last battle, the last few chapters, they're actually a great comfort to me. How they finally realize that the old is past and that they're in the new place, but yet it seems so familiar to what they're
Yeah,
used
yeah,
to.
yeah.
And they're so excited about it, and then they start running, and I think they say something to the effect of higher up and further in, or something to that
Yeah,
extent.
absolutely.
And it just gets better and better. The more they run into this new land, it just gets more and more wonderful.
And
I
that's
like
really
that.
echoing of what the conclusion of the scriptures at large all end at the New Jerusalem, at the new heavens and the new earth, and trying to draw a picture of that that's really hard to follow if I'm being completely honest. But it's clear to me that the preoccupation of the scriptures is that there is a new heaven and a new earth. It's not just new heaven; it's also a new earth, because we have physical resurrected bodies.
Yeah, I think I tried to explain this to someone, and they were like, "Wow, I never thought of it that way." Like they hadn't actually looked at what the scripture actually said and made the conclusion themselves. They just kind of listened to who taught them about Revelation and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So it was just a revelation to them when they saw it, like, and there will be a new heaven and new earth and all that sort of. It was like bizarre.
And that's a really good point of instruction is don't listen to us. Just go read the Bible yourself.
Yeah, make your own conclusions.
We're knee deep in Diablo here.
Yeah, we're knee deep in the demonic and the dead.
You guys are descending into hell, just like
Yeah.
it says in some Apostles' Creeds.
And we're helping an opportunistic miner get us loot so that we can kill demons.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
that guy! I remember him.
Find the precious
You're on a
ores.
side quest, basically, aren't you? That's not even related to the main story.
I legitimately have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just throwing corpse spiders at things.
I just remember playing it on the Xbox 360, and I was very satisfied when I would use the right trigger button, because that was some special move that would just make this wave of devastation all around.
Oh yeah, yeah. What class were you playing as, Ted?
You know, I don't recall. I'll have to turn it on. I don't know. Oh, hey guys, how about a little side quest story of mine? You remember when I went on my camping trip with my son, quote unquote camping trip?
Yeah. So how was Borderlands 2?
So there we go. So I get his Xbox 360, my Xbox 360. We're packing. My wife is looking at us packing a sleeping bag and stuff like that, and a television and a second television, and but we get it all packed up. We drive out to the mountains. We arrive at the cabin, and we set everything up. We put the games in. I brought like a router thing, so we both plugged into the router and went to System Link, and it worked perfect. I mean, we connected, and I don't get seasick when I play a first-person shooter with somebody else. It's weird.
Wow.
I just kind of follows that person around and sort of help protect them from behind while they do a lot of the grunt work.
Yeah.
But it was truly a blast playing that game.
What game were you playing?
Borderlands 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'd never played it before, so I was setting it up. And the next morning came, the next day or whatever, we did some other activities outside. But then it was like time to play Borderlands 2 again. All right. And I turn on my Xbox 360, and it says disk won't read. I'm like, no! And so we're like, well, let's switch discs and stuff like that. Disk won't read. It turned out my CD drive on my Xbox 360 stopped working. So our whole awesome weekend of doing this multiplayer thing together was destroyed, essentially.
That sucks.
I know I wasn't able to do it.
It doesn't have like 4-player local without any system link?
Then I would have had to start all over with my character. I'd already leveled up. I was on like level 6. It might have been possible.
You can do split screen.
Yeah.
With
It's just after doing it with your own screen, it was like stepping back. It was like going from color back to black and white TVs.
Oh yeah, because they don't even really modify the actual menus. You just kind of have to like scroll them over and make them fit into the screen while you're having it split in half.
Oh yeah. So here's what I did. I even got desperate. I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to buy the online copy of it, all right? And I'm going to set up my phone as a wireless hotspot for my Xbox 360. And
oh boy,
I connected to it, and it was like 5-something gig, right? Which blows your data plan out of the water.
Yeah, more than a little bit.
And it wouldn't even do it. It was like it's like the Xbox 360 said, no, I'm not even going to download this at this speed. So not only had I bought a used disc copy that I couldn't play, I had purchased through my phone a digital copy, which I couldn't download. I was trying everything I could to get Borderlands 2 running on this daggum Xbox 360. So that part of it was a bit of a flop and a bit of a disaster.
Man, that's rough.
Yeah, and that game, I don't have a real joy for playing that by myself.
Yeah, no,
that
I
was part of
understand
it.
that entirely. I mean, I like the idea of playing it, and I can definitely get into the mindset of Borderlands 2, but it's just same thing with Diablo here. Like I just don't want to play this game by myself. Like I'd rather play it
Yeah,
with you guys.
there are a lot of similarities with that between these two games. It's just in the perspective and the storyline too. But one, you're running around first person and shooting things and looting, and in
Yeah.
your case, you've got that kind of isometric overhead view,
Uh-huh.
and you're running around shooting things and looting.
Yeah, Ted,
Yeah.
did you play Gauntlet back in the day?
Oh yes, it is. It's a better version of Gauntlet.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking when I started playing it.
But
Like
that's
I,
what made Gauntlet so great is playing it with more than one person.
yeah, because I played the PC version of Diablo, and I'm like, this is okay, I guess. But playing it
No,
with a controller has really enhanced the experience for me. Like, a
yeah, they did
million
a
times
fairly
over.
good job porting that to consoles.
Yeah.
So it really works well, and I think that's sort of how they seem to have designed it. Even at the PC stage, it had a bit of a console feel to it. Is what I was
Yeah,
told.
and they said they were never going to release it on console too. Whenever they first came out, they were Blizzard was a bit of a liar there.
Well, it's been a good thing though for them and really for players. So
Yeah, the only thing that I think is worse than the PC version is that you can't focus on specific targets with ranged attacks.
I heard you can't see as much on the screen as you want to. I think on the PC version you can have more information
Mm.
Yeah,
uh,
I'm sure that's likely.
Yeah, and
instead of
the
using that wheel.
plus the old Diablo inventory system is on the PC version, which is like it has like a grid and items fit into the grid slots. But here is just a big stack of numbers. You know, you have X amount of whatever, right? So
Right.
this is like super easy by comparison.
Yeah, it's very workable though. I mean, it doesn't take away from any enjoyment or any depth.
No.
Maybe depth at least for me. Maybe depth for you isn't as deep, but
I think the original console release is pretty light on difficulty, but I've been playing the Reaper of Souls version, and I've been able to keep pumping the difficulty up to get better loot, and so it's been working for me.
Yeah.
so if I try to join this little strange Diablo 3 party, by the time I did, you guys would probably be done with it and moved on to something else. But um,
Honestly, you could catch up pretty effectively. I mean, like just if you were to get the game and then play it, then for like an hour or two, you should already be at kind of like what level we're at, because
Yeah.
we're not very far in at all. I mean, we're all like level 10 right now, which is
We killed
to
the
say-
Skeleton King last time, so
yeah,
that's a pretty good marker for where you should at least know where to go. Oh, Treasure Dude. Kill Treasure Dude.
Oh, kill treasure dude. Yeah, he's exploding gold all over the floor.
Yeah, and he'll drop tons of loot if you kill him.
see, by the
Yeah.
time I did it, you guys probably thought, "Oh, we're playing Destiny now."
No. I have no interest in Destiny whatsoever.
I'm interested in the idea of Destiny. I played the beta, but and that was pretty much enough for me. It's just
And what
I
you
mean,
guys are telling me too, I'm sorry to interrupt, but is
problem.
don't get the Reaper of Souls Ultimate
No.
Evil Edition. That won't work
Unless
with
you
what
want to
you guys
play
are
it
doing.
with me.
With you, yeah.
Yeah, because all of my save game and all of my stuff is on there. Like my level 56 Crusader, you know.
All right, so I'll have to go to my used game store and look for a disc of it.
Yeah.
Okay,
This is around $20, I think.
okay. I didn't mean to interrupt you there, Joshua.
I don't even know what I was talking about.
Destiny? You know, I'm not interested in Destiny because I played a lot of Halo, and I think I'm done with Halo for now.
Well, the thing is Halo is a much more about like smart artificial intelligence and
Shooting?
you very carefully shooting and balancing and improvising based on what weapons you can find on the ground, and taking down enemy shields in creative and challenging ways. Destiny is much more about just shooting stuff. You just shoot stuff. It looks like Star Wars, and that's pretty much the whole story.
Yeah, the two things I heard most. Yeah, I know Bryan's super excited about Destiny, but the
Yeah.
two things I heard most were Bullet Sponge and bad AI.
Well, and that's the thing is that Halo made the game more interesting with the difficulty. If you chose a higher difficulty, the AI actually got smarter, and
Ah,
and that's what made Halo great as far as campaign gameplay. So once you got to Destiny, and I'm like, oh, cool, I can change the difficulty on this. So I changed the difficulty, and that means that it takes me 20 minutes to shoot and kill this thing as opposed to 10.
But you get more loot
Yeah, that's
because you spend more time killing it. See,
Yeah.
you know what? Maybe it's just because it's a first-person shooter. Like, I don't know how Borderlands deals with it, but there's really no way to make it more interesting unless you're, like, setting up additional weak points to aim at or having somebody use a rocket launcher while somebody uses a regular assault rifle to shoot things, you know.
Yeah, I mean-
there are ways to make it interesting, but I doubt those things are in these kind of FPS RPG hybrids.
And I'm sure that some of our listeners are able to, explain these things. And I know that Thomas Henschel is playing it right now, and he's loving it. He went out there on the midnight, and he grabbed it from Best Buy and was among the real gamers.
Who went and got Destiny?
None of us poser punks.
Yeah,
Tell you
midnight
what.
releases are not my thing.
Yeah, I saw all the people hanging outside the GameStop with their 3DSs, not talking to one another.
Plus, they'll never have one for Bayonetta, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I mean, if once Bayonetta 2 comes out, they should probably do it too. But I don't know that there's the same kind of like core as there is with something like Destiny.
Yeah, well, probably most of the people who buy it would not want to be caught dead actually buying it. So,
Yeah.
unfortunately,
Yeah, that's actually a relatively valid point. I mean, playing as a 10-foot tall witch.
although I'm kind of sad I don't live in New York, so I can get the Hyrule Warriors scarf. I'm not even
What?
joking. There is literally a scarf they made.
And what's the benefit of this scarf? It's just that it's a
Absolutely
Hyrule scarf.
No benefit other than having a cool scarf that no one will recognize.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's one of the things that I've realized about like all the
Goodness. In Elite Group.
video game T-shirts and paraphernalia is that like suddenly like even the meme for there was a T-shirt for the alpha of Destiny. It says the wizard.
Right now.
That wizard came from the moon because there was this really really terrible line of dialogue from Peter Dinklage who says that, and it's funny, but the only people who are going to get that are other like serious gamers.
It sounds
At that point-
designed to be a meme and not so much that it's
Right,
part of the game just because it's part of the game or they wrote bad dialogue or something.
No, they actually removed it from the game because people like disliked it so much and it took them out of the experience, so to speak.
He still
And that-
says something though real similar to that.
Oh, really? Do you know what he
Yeah.
says?
No, I don't remember what he says, and I will say I really do like that game a lot.
Yeah.
But I do admit that it has a whole lot of flaws to it too.
I think,
Oh, crud.
what?
I died.
Oh well, I died several times. All you gotta do is just respawn.
I was rolling through poison, and that was a stupid move.
I was rolling through poison.
Yes, this conversation does not make sense unless you have video.
Yeah.
No, so I mean, Destiny's basically it is World of Warcraft with Halo, or not Halo, Call of Duty.
Yeah,
Why Call of
with
Duty?
MMO
That's
stuff.
well, because you can turn your brain off to it, and it has really big set pieces.
Set pieces. Oh, what the heck? How do
I'm all
we
about
keep...
the set pieces.
Okay. Kill the goblin.
I
Kill
really
treasure.
like the game.
Treasure Goblin.
Where'd he
But
go?
the story's terrible to it. Basically, Destiny is Diablo 3.
So-
Why do you say that? What is it? What do you
Because
mean
the story's no good, but it has great mechanics.
Oh, the story in Diablo? It's awful.
No. I don't even know if there is a story in this game.
Oh, there is, and they spent like millions of dollars on expensive cutscenes, and I'm like, I have no idea what's happening right now.
Yay, cutscenes!
Yeah, seriously. Like the
Can you skip
cutscene
them?
comes up, and I'm like, please shut up. I want to kill more monsters.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it really isn't the point, and they even make a point of telling you that the story isn't the point in adventure mode, which is basically
Really?
like a free-form kill everything and get loot game.
Huh.
That's the end game of Diablo, which is no story whatsoever. It's super bizarre.
Yeah,
Sounds
it's not why
boring.
you play the game, that's for sure. But it's not ever really had a reputation, right, for being this awesome, soul-touching storyline.
Yeah, I mean, when you
Soul-touching.
got like demons
Get it?
everywhere.
Get it? Soul touching.
So what have you guys been playing besides Diablo 3?
I've been playing Diablo 3. Thanks to you people.
So
Don't you blame me for your addictive habits.
I'll
not
go
addicted.
first. I'm very
Bullshit.
excited.
Wait, you gotta let me guess.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Right.
Ted's gonna guess, and it's gonna be a really close to
Okay.
something I have played.
All right, so you're playing this game, right, where you're like this seagull, right? And your goal is to like try to fly down and like try to eat dead stuff, right? And like the more you and like waves are coming in, and the waves actually aren't waves though, they're like made of gelatin, right? So they can sort of wrap around you and sort of suck the life out of you.
This sounds like
Wow.
Josh's perfect game.
No, that's actually much closer to Hatoful Boyfriend, which is very high on my Steam wish list.
Oh yeah,
But
the
I have,
pigeon dating simulator. Yes.
yeah, I'm not gonna get too far into what that is.
It gets
But
super creepy when you play that game.
yeah, you play as a teenage girl who's dating teenage pigeons.
Yeah. Like it starts like a traditional boyfriend simulator, kind of like those visual novels, and then it gets super creepy.
Yes,
Yeah.
Zachary, tell us all about the boyfriend simulators you've played.
Oh, well, sorry. Sorry, I'm more well versed in visual novels. If Pat Gann were here, we'd have
Yeah,
problems.
Pat Gann would have a heyday with this subject.
Yeah.
But so we'll go with what I actually was playing, which is the first game that I've ever started to shoot a let's play with, because it's not out yet. I actually got the Game Church gave me the early beta for This War of Mine, which is very similar to, in concept at least, to Valiant Hearts.
Oh.
It's dealing with the subject of very realistic war and the trials that people are going through around war. Takes place in a very similar setting to something like Serbia in the 1990s, and you're playing as people who are just trying to survive, just trying to get by. They haven't been able to run away from the war. They have to stay in the city, and there's constant sniper fire and shellings, and your main objective is to dig through rubble and find anything that's useful. I mean, that's at first, and then of course it turns into kind of a crafting survival game. But it's made by the people who made the Anomaly series, Anomaly Earth, Anomaly Korea.
I've never played those. What are they?
They are inverted tower defense. So you're basically trying to break into a tower with a group of
Get out of the poison, Bryan.
yeah.
Ouch.
Stay out. Brian, don't go rolling in the poison. It's a bad idea.
Wait. So this game, Josh, it sounds like Call of Duty with some sort of moral bent to it, huh?
Right,
It
right.
doesn't look like it.
But it doesn't play like it at all. It's much more like an adventure game where survival and crafting is a thing. The core tension is that you have a limited amount of time, and all your guys are either sick or wounded, and you're trying to figure out how do we get enough resources to stay alive and not get killed by the cold or the other survivors who are just trying to get by. And like it makes you kind of like really aware of the tension of like, all right, well, the only way for us to get things is to steal because from other survivors in the city, and or just go into houses and hope that we can find something and hope that no one lives there. And so that's one tier of the gameplay, and the other tier of the gameplay is during the daytime you're just trying to build things, like just build a bed. You can try to build a radio from random components. It sounds kind of weird and strange in that sense, but if you've played anything like Don't Starve or what are some other good examples? Like The Forest, there's actually been a great resurgence of great survival games on Steam Early Access lately. The Long Dark is actually pretty similar in concept, but the difference is that, of course, in This War of Mine, it takes place in a very realistic war, and
It definitely, the parallel with Valiant Hearts seems to be there to me, because it's not just a soldier story. It's a story of other people affected by war or involved with war.
Exactly, and that's the main thing, is like Valiant Hearts was always at its best when you weren't playing as Freddy, the warmongering American. It was always at its best when you were playing as Emile, the French grandpa who's just trying to get to his son-in-law, his German son-in-law. So he doesn't even want to kill Germans. He just wants everyone to sit down and eat cheese and drink wine.
But are you allowed to even talk about this game, This War of Mine?
Yeah. Is there?
Yeah,
like
I mean, there isn't a lot. I mean, the PR machine on this is just getting started, and I've been encouraged to go and talk about it as much as possible.
So you're the spark plug of the PR machine.
No, I'd say no. I mean, like I'm just I'm just the guy in Game Church. I mean, they gave us a review copy without much stipulation on whether or not we can cover it and stuff like that. And Polygon already did the exact same. They gave the same thing to Polygon, so you can go to polygon.com right now and watch their video let's play of it, where they just play the same kind of mission that I'm playing in it, and it gives you a very clear impression of what the game's actually like. Yeah,
I think we've gone far off point here in terms of Diablo, because I have no idea where we're supposed to be.
Yeah, I'm trying to talk about this war of mine, and I have literally no. Oh, I just leveled up randomly. Oh, you guys are all killing things for me. Thank you. Firebat's rune unlocked. I can use dire bats now, and the plague of toads.
The plague of toads.
All right, I better try these things out. So what are you playing? What are you playing, Ted?
I have been on a little random tangent of game playing. I purchased a PSP, I think the 3000 model.
Oh, good for you, Ted. PSP is awesome.
It really is. I got it from my son, who was desperate for cash. So this is a Kingdom's Heart edition of it. I don't know if you can see it on. I don't know if you guys are on video or not. But,
yeah, I can see. Yeah, on video. I'm trying to conserve the amount of data that I'm using at one time.
I gotcha.
Do you have Birth by Sleep? Is that why?
Well, he lost it, so I'm trying to find the game and with the little sleeve that originally came in it. But I have the box for it and all of that stuff. And actually, the pricing on this is pretty high if you look this up on eBay or even on Amazon. So, but that's not why I got it. I got it because I wanted to have this model because it uses discs, unlike that PSP Go I bought.
So you've never had one that uses the UMD discs.
Right. So I've been experimenting because these games are so cheap nowadays. You can buy some great games for $5. And I've been kind of on a Lord of the Rings kick with my whole Tolkien and Lewis thing. So I bought a game for $3 called Lord of the Rings Tactics, which is like a turn-based strategy game that takes you through the book Lord of the Rings, or really some scenes from the movie too. But I played all the way through that. I couldn't stop playing it. And I don't know if it's because it was a great game or just because I'm kind of a Lord of the Rings nerd, but...
I mean, that sounds like the only kind of Lord of the Rings game that I'd really want to play, because I love tactics games.
Yeah, it wasn't awesome, but it was just very compelling. So right now I've got God of War on here too. I think it's something of Sparta or whatever, Chains of Sparta. And
that sounds about right.
You know, it looks and it sounds pretty good. It doesn't look quite as good as the Vita, but you know, it's a generation earlier. I did just read today that Sony is going to soon be stopping support of the PSP online in certain regions.
Yeah, not in North America yet.
Right.
But
yeah.
Getting there.
So the thing about it too is, like at my home here, I have a higher security level on my wireless network. I have a WPA, if this means anything to you guys, and the highest that the PSP can work with is a WEP level of security.
Yeah.
So I can't
it
even
screws
get
you
this.
up. Yeah, I had the same problem because I bought a new router and it
Right.
doesn't connect at all.
I mean, you could set your router for a lower level of security, but do you really want to do that? I don't know, but
Josh, Bryan, you were lost. Please come south. Follow me.
Okay.
so that's
we're
part
together.
of
I don't feel lost. I have Bryan by my side.
Yeah, usually he's charging in somewhere, but
Hey,
there's nowhere to charge.
Oh yeah.
We need to back up, I think, and go to the Khazra Den. I have no idea where that is.
I'm just going to keep throwing my poisonous frogs at everything. I have a plague of frogs. They are plaguing everything. It's fantastic.
So if you guys have any great PSP games that you recommend, I'm certainly open and
Jeanne
interested.
d'Arc.
Patapon.
Jeanne
I have
d'Arc
that.
is by far my favorite. Have you played Jeanne d'Arc?
No, what kind of style game is that?
It is a very
Strategy
similar
RPG?
to Valkyria Chronicles. It's a strategy RPG with a revision of history kind of thing going on. It's a revision of the Joan of Arc story from like an anime perspective. It's kind of weird that way, but the core gameplay is really, really smart. It's turn-based strategy, tactics, as you will, and it's very, very good at what it does. By far, one of my favorite PSP games of all time.
Yeah, and he made me buy it basically. So
Seems like these handhelds, even the DS, 3DS, PSP, Vita, all of them, the turn-based strategy or the RPG really is almost the perfect
Yeah.
type of game for this type of
Yeah.
Yeah,
system.
I mean, turn-based strategy is for whatever reason also the best genre it seems on iPad as well. I mean, same handheld notion, like
Right.
XCOM, enemy unknown is actually by far my favorite way to play it is on iPad, and I did not expect that at all.
let's
That's right.
see.
You played that originally on a Mac, I guess?
Well, I played it on PS3, PC,
Okay.
and iPad, and by far my favorite way to play it is on iPad. Not for any other reason than the fact that like I can just chill out in bed and you know I'll play a few turns here and a few turns there, um, and I just can't really do that while on a PC.
Yeah, I could get that. It's just you're more in control of your environment, your physical environment.
Yeah.
So it's more flexible in that way than just setting up an entire game system or whatever. So yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's awesome. So Brian, what are you playing besides Diablo?
Uh, I've been playing Pokemon. I either have X or Y with my son.
Oh, cool.
So that's something we kind of sit here. I'll pull out the 3DS and we'll sit here and we'll play that in the evening. He likes that
And
a whole
and did
lot.
Wyatt just start kindergarten?
Yeah, he did.
That's
So
awesome.
he's
So he is the coolest kid in kindergarten because he is already a Pokemaster.
he's been playing video games since he was at least 3.
Yeah.
I'm kind of a bad parent, I think.
Only when you have him play Mortal Kombat. Diablo is fine.
Yeah,
yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
I
So
ripped
no,
people's heads off when I
playing
was 7.
we've
It's
been playing
okay.
Pokemon, and he plays the game totally different than I do. I kind of plow through it,
Yeah.
and he likes to stop and collect everything.
Yeah. Like
Yeah,
here's-
like this.
Like
Yeah.
yeah,
Video games teach you how to be a good kleptomaniac.
Yeah, that's very
basically.
true.
So I've been playing that. I turned on Nino Kuni last night again and
Uh-huh.
kind of started grinding in that again. And I don't know, not too much lately. I've been looking for a good 3DS game, but
You
Yeah.
don't like
Um,
Bravely Default, of course.
you know what? I actually did like it a whole lot.
Oh, you do? Good, good,
Yeah, I put a whole lot of hours into the demo. I had to quit.
good.
But Ted,
That
have
was
you played
that was my
Fire
problem
Emblem?
with Fire Emblem. Yeah.
Hey, somebody just mentioned this the other day, Brian, that they said that I might like that game because I like that Lord of the Rings Tactics.
Yeah.
Fire
Fire
Emblem's
Emblem is
probably my
pretty
most
much
favorite game.
Fire Emblem is pretty much the best tactical RPG, at least from Nintendo's perspective for sure. But for me, it was easily one of my top 5 genre series of all time.
Which
Yeah.
which Fire Emblem would you consider the best one?
Me personally,
Awakening's my favorite.
I haven't actually gotten to play Awakening just because I don't have a 3DS, and I'm pretty sure that one. I mean, since that's the most recent, I'd say that one's easily probably the best.
And I guess I'm talking about the English releases too, because there's a bunch.
Yeah,
that came
I'm
out
not.
here.
I haven't been able to play all the Japanese ones just because so much of Fire Emblem is like about the inter-character relationships. The writing is surprisingly good.
Yeah, I think they're all translated at this point. So
Okay,
by
yeah,
random people on the internet. So
yeah, and
if
that's
you were
not always.
curious,
Yeah, that's not exactly reassuring to me. But yeah,
Okay.
no, Brian is absolutely right. Fire Emblem is by far, if you're gonna play any strategy RPG ever, Fire Emblem should be the only one.
what?
It's it.
Yeah.
Not Final Fantasy Tactics.
No,
No.
Final
Oh, I
Fantasy
know.
Tactics is boring by comparison. Like it's
What?
So boring.
it's so slow. That's the thing. Like Final Fantasy Tactics is great for depth, but it's
It's
so
tactical.
slow. Well,
That's why it's slow.
yeah, but like just taking a turn, the animation, like it takes like 20 seconds to take a single turn in the game. Like in
And you must
Fire
not have
Emblem, I
played-
can turn off.
Well, you can buy Final Fantasy Tactics for the PSP, and it's like $10 on Amazon. So
No, I would not buy it.
Well, I think I might give this Fire Emblem a try since I enjoyed that Lord of the Rings Tactics. Because I have a feeling that Lord of the Rings Tactics was really just trying to mirror or mimic a better game.
it's probably a pretty bad game.
But I still enjoyed it. I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, you can enjoy any kind of game. It really doesn't.
Yeah, that's all that matters ultimately.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I'd send you my copy, Ted, but I got a digital on my 3DS.
Oh yeah, just email it to me.
Yeah, let me email it to you. Let me try that. We'll see how that works.
My inventory
One
is
day we'll be able
full.
to share games digitally, considering digital will be the only only existing form of games as it currently is with indie games.
My inventory is full.
I think that day is coming. Yes.
I'm just surprised that that's not what happened with this current PS4 Xbox One generation. And I mean, like, that seemed to be what Microsoft wanted to do, and everyone's like, no, we want our used games.
I think it's mostly because there's really not enough internet speeds throughout most of the continental U.S. They're just not fast enough yet.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And
Yeah.
the companies must know this.
I mean, well, it's partially that, but it's also the outcry. Like Microsoft had their plan all set, and they were like, this is what we're going to do. We're going to create a very digital-oriented environment for games. And yes, it's not going to be friendly for used game users, but there's a benefit to this. And because of the outcry, Microsoft said, no, well, we're going to change this. We're not going to do that anymore.
Yeah, I've got two perspectives on that. One is, yeah, they listened to the consumers, but in a way, the world really is going like that. For example, I have a downloaded game on my 360. I can't remember. Oh, Forza Horizons, right? It's a great game, great driving game. And more than once, I was thinking, well, maybe I'll play another game, but I got to get up and put a disc in there. But look, man, there's Forza Horizon just sitting there on my hard drive, and I got more used to the concept of a digital download because I didn't want to get up 4 steps and put a disc in my game system. But it's just the fact that it's instantly available once you've downloaded it and purchased it. And they even had a system, I think, of even borrowing or loaning a game to somebody. So it's going to happen, though. There's no way it's going to be avoided in the future, but it's going to be held off one more generation. And I was surprised because I like to collect old games, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's just the way the world is going. And I guess one day maybe people will collect digital libraries of games legally.
Yeah. Well, I backed up all my PSP games onto my computer, so just in case the disk drive dies. Right.
PSP, you said?
Yeah.
That's a great idea. And is that through a hack or anything like that, or is that just through regular?
I have custom firmware installed on my PSP, so basically I rip the discs right off the hard drive, right off the disk drive.
Into the PC.
Kind of like you would copy a CD-ROM onto your PC, that sort of thing.
Right.
So I have
for
my
your
whole
own
library.
legal backup copy. Gotcha.
Yeah. Plus, I can play games that people have translated with patches and whatever.
Right.
Yeah, so that makes it super helpful. Like, I bought Final Fantasy Type 0, and it's not in English, obviously, so I am looking forward to actually playing it at some point in the future.
With
And
a translation.
Emulation. PSP emulation is super good now, so that made me happy.
Is that good? Now, by emulation, does that mean on a different device other than a PSP, or is it a PSP emulating itself?
No, it's on the PC. Like, if you have a graphics card that's powerful enough, you can actually basically play games with dual analog stick controls instead of the,
little nubby thing.
kind of makeshift nubs that they've been using.
Which isn't bad, but it is what it is.
Certain games were definitely not designed with it in mind.
I will say this too. This particular model, I think the 3000 model, is very slippery, and I have dropped it twice since I've owned it.
Oh.
So I don't know. It just doesn't seem to have any real grip or anything like that. Where other game systems just seem to be molded in a different way.
You know what? It might be the PSP you have, because mine has like a, it's a smooth feel, but like sort of corrugated, so it kind of just stays on your hands.
It must be this model then, because this thing is just like holding on to an ice cube sometimes. Here, I'm gonna play my PSP soap.
Can we teleport back to town? Because my inventory is full.
Yeah, I'm actually trying to balance my inventory right now because there's other things on the ground. I'm like, this looks like this could be useful.
Hey, Joshua, remember we were talking about on the cross and the thief on the cross?
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I got out my Greek New Testament and just
Sweet.
looked up the word, which is semeron, which is where that this day means
Uh-huh.
or is translated. And I think there is
Ooh.
some point to some questions on how it's translated because it can mean this very day, uh, or it can say what has happened today.
Huh.
So Jesus says to the thief, this very day, right now, you'll be with me in paradise. Or he can say, he is saying, what has happened because of what has happened today, you'll be with me in paradise. So
Yeah.
there is a scholarly reason for there to be some question. I was thinking that people were just looking at it in English and go, oh, if we could just move that comma,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. No.
so
No. And that's actually a much better, a much more structured and sound way of defending it. Um, yeah, I'm gonna just teleport to town because I think that would be most beneficial at this point in time.
teleport to town.
I wish
I
I could
need
do that in real life. 'Cause that would make
salvage.
my commute so much better. Actually, you know what? I am glad that I can't teleport. You know why?
I'm glad I can't. Why for you?
Because that means that I have an hour to and fro work that I get to listen to podcasts. I get to listen to your guys' beautiful voices.
Josh, if you're listening to this as you're driving to work, we love you.
Hey, I need this. I need this.
It's going to be a great day today, Josh.
Feel good about yourself. Everything will be just fine.
Yes.
Because of what has happened today or this day, it's going to be a
Yes.
great day.
This day, this blank day.
You are very important. Insert name here.
You're very important to us. Josh.
Exactly. That's the kind of thing that I need to hear, on my commute, all the time. Considering, there's just so many wonderful people that are here on the podcast that can say wonderful things about me in particular.
Hey, wait, Josh, you need to give yourself a message.
Oh, yes. So, Josh, remember to actually not forget your wallet today. I know that you've been doing that a lot lately, and just try to keep everything. Make sure you just do the butt check. The one tap just to make sure it's there. Otherwise, yeah.
What the heck? Okay, so I went to the blacksmith. I'm making gear for myself.
Uh-huh.
He makes gear that has no stats that I want on it.
Nope.
It makes no sense. Why? I don't want dexterity. I'm a wizard.
Harry.
Oh, yes, and future Josh, you really probably shouldn't have said that to your wife in that way. And I really think that maybe you should think about apologizing to her.
Right now.
Yeah.
Pick up the phone.
Make the call, Josh. Make the call, future Josh.
You can't avoid it forever.
Hey guys,
Pick it
I
up
really
now.
appreciate you talking to future me because I know that future me is not going to be that much smarter than present day me, and I have a tendency to be dumb. I'll tell you what.
Dude.
If we could have future you call in to now, that would probably be more helpful.
Yeah, that would be even better. That would be way better. So, Zach, what are you playing besides Diablo right now?
A Diablo.
Oh yeah, just Diablo.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
right.
mostly
You're
all
playing
I've been
Diablo
playing.
and Diablo Reaper of Souls Edition. So you're playing Diablo when you're not playing Diablo.
I am in the expansion, so that's basically where I am. So I'm playing the old version right now, but I actually have the new version just because of you guys. Because I like you all so much. So basically all I've been doing to make the game challenging in any way, shape, or form is just keep upping the difficulty every time they give me the chance. So right now I'm on Master, which I guess is 3 above normal. And
Hey,
it's
does
pretty hard.
your game save transfer over if you go to that newer version one you got, that Reaper version?
No, nothing crosses over at all.
Nothing?
No.
Oh.
So I have like 500k gold in the bank, and I have like all the things, and just I can't use any of it.
Because I heard that, I played it on the Xbox 360, and if I get it for the Xbox One, that my character save will transfer over into the
Yeah.
new Xbox One game, which has those extra.
But they don't cross over, I don't think.
Well, that would be a bummer for you, but You know what? That's how these guys go. They're like, no, buy the older thing.
And like, why is everything in this town? Nobody sells anything with intelligence on it. I don't like this version of the game. I do not like.
The original version of the game, you mean?
There's like things that are completely different about it. Actually, like they had they changed a lot of like subtle things. Nothing like big or anything. Like the
Yeah. I mean, it's like it's just like a fighting game's improvement. You know, like expansion. It's just going to be tighter and better balanced. And
yeah, like usually the blacksmith makes things that are actually useful for you. But here, he doesn't make anything useful for you. Like, you'll get a random stat, and it won't even be anything related to your character. Because I just wasted a bunch of crafting material doing this. Trying to make a helmet that I can actually use, but nope. Does not like me.
Yeah, I don't even understand the blacksmith myself yet, just because I'm trying to figure out what. I mean, I'm talking to you guys while I'm playing the game, so I can't exactly say I'm playing the game intelligently.
No.
Whoa.
Though I do have 10,000 gold, so I assume that's what they want me to do.
Oh, I wanted to just say one last thing too. If you guys remember that today is September 11th, which here in the United States is definitely a day that has a lot of feelings toward it too. And thinking about heaven and death and dying, that was a day. Was it 14 years ago? I guess. No, 13 years ago. Where a lot of people were thinking and talking about heaven and hell and death and dying. I know church attendance spiked through the roof on those following weeks. So I bought a brand new American flag. Looks beautiful. Got it hanging out in the front of my my house.
Yeah, America.
Yeah, and the world too. You know.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was kind of a worldwide event. I mean, America was getting attacked, that sort of thing.
And there's been obviously things like there's stuff going on still in the world. It's one of those things too where you pray in the Lord's Prayer. You know, let your kingdom come, let your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. It's like
and that's key, is the on earth as it is in heaven.
Yeah. So I really look forward to that day when he is the triumphant returning king and sets this world right. You know, brings peace to it finally.
So that's my end times. That's my afterlife.
Well, I just want to. I'm going to sound maybe goofy spiritual here, but I just want to see him. You know, I want to. That to me is what it all comes down to, is to be able to know that one day I'm going to see his face. I'm going to be able to. I just dropped my cell phone. I was so excited there. Just to be able to touch his hands, I don't know, just
You're like Thomas.
yeah. And then I'll finally believe. No, it's just, you know, I mean, it's all about Jesus, man. It really is. And he gave me so much life that I just really can't wait to thank him face to face.
Yeah, that's a much cooler way to think of the afterlife than like, oh, good thing I get to heaven when I die, you know?
Yeah. Or I can't wait for him to tell me how awesome I am.
Yeah, when I get up there.
Yeah, hey, wow, we really needed you up here in heaven, so thanks
or the popular concept of heaven, which is we're just gonna have to sing 10,000 versions of "Here as I Am" or or something along those lines. But
I can only imagine.
Yeah. Wait.
Wait, I can't imagine because I'm singing it to you now, Lord. Yeah. In the 80s, there was a song called "Thank You for Giving to the Lord." I don't know if you ever heard that song. It was really popular in churches and Christian radio. I can't remember the name of the guy that wrote it, but it said, "Thank you for giving to the Lord. I'm a life that was changed." And it's a song of this guy who's in heaven, and people keep coming up to him and saying, "Thank you for what you did. Because of what you did, you know, I'm here as well." You know.
Wait, did we lose Bryan?
No, I'm just getting ready to wrap up. You guys are good.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we're reaching our closing time here.
Yeah, because I can't even find out where I'm supposed to be going. I've just been wandering around for an hour.
I'm not sure I want to play with you guys. You guys basically playing solo.
I don't know where I am.
I'm literally just trying to follow the other players, and they don't know where they're going. So
where is the Khazra Den?
I don't know.
This map is so big.
All right. That is. I'm gonna call it, guys. I'm gonna call it. It's dead. It's dying.
You know
It's
what?
It's gonna go to heaven.
Of course,
So
the bad part is when we restart this, the whole map will be reset and we'll be lost, just as lost as we were the last time.
yeah, I'm pretty sure that's gonna happen. That's okay. So thank you guys so much for tuning into the show. This has been the Theology Gaming Podcast. If you'd like it, then just go and tell all your friends and give us some ratings and stuff. It's always good.
Yeah.
But yeah. So if you want any more news, you can always find us on theologygaming.com, and that's it. Anything else, Zach?
Not that I can think of.
I can't think of what is that? A cat meowing?
Yeah, my cat's saying goodbye.
Goodbye, cat. Goodbye.
Yeah, my cat.
Josh, in the future, don't forget to feed your cat.
Yeah.
Awesome. Love you guys.
Yep. Bye.
Love you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye. The poor cat. Yeah.